Right. I've had obviously issues again with Tradingview. It's been an absolute nightmare since they changed their servers. So I'm gonna do basically what I just done in the previous stream. I'm gonna cover 10 very quick um, altcoins and just give an idea in terms of what our indicators are kind of picking up and looking at. So first one's first, we're gonna go for the MATIC. Let's cover MATIC quite quick. So I'm just going to go for a Coinbase chart. Now, initially, what I'm seeing is two obvious plays. We've actually got a quadratic move low looking for a push up. We've actually got a stochastic at the low also oversold. And therefore, I can see with the chart and the price action, we've got a nice descending channel. I'd like to see maybe one more dip down before I move on up. The reason I've got this as bars rather than candles is we've actually got a little indicator called XTL. And the general idea right now is that I think, obviously, although we are in a bearish kind of move, I would like to see on the daily time frame a nice little push up against this, even if it's only short term and we target some of these highs. I would like to see that. So I think for me, it's kind of a move that would look something similar to this, um, trying to take these highs. I think that's the first couple of observations. I then think in terms of the regression, we're pretty much range bound. I think obviously seeing the center of the curved regression, I think we're pretty much sideways until we're not. There's nothing obvious on a buy on the Wyckoff indicator, and therefore, yeah, pretty much sideways. So I'm going to jump straight into the next one because I'd spent half hour filming this earlier, only to have a 2 minute video put out by TradingView. So I'm going to look straight into dot USD dot Binance. Let's go for Bitfinex, and I think for me on the indicator for Wyckoff, we've actually got a bullish move there. I think we've got a crossover on stochastic, and we've actually got a move from the underside over to the zero level. So hopefully in the next day or two, we'll get a little move on up. I think again, although we are central to the curved regression, I think for me that's something that I can see on the larger regression channel, that we've obviously pinged the outside. We got some bullish sentiment here, and therefore I would like to see a little move on up to at least test the X trend levels, um, which ultimately sitting around this region. So that's the idea and the view in terms of dot. Let's see if there's anything obvious with the XTL. No, so again, pretty much sideways action until it's not. But like I said, I think for me the target is up a little bit higher if you're looking at the intraday side, and therefore I'm expecting maybe a little bit more of a move to the upside rather than the downside. Although my overall sentiment is still bearish. ADA. Let's go into ADA. Let's go for Kraken. Right. In terms of ADA, we've actually got a white, green, white, white, red, white, white, red. So it's quite checkered, which means very indecisive. So again, pretty much range bound. I think we actually have another similar view to the dot move where we could see a little crossover the center line. Nothing is screaming full bullish sentiment at the moment. So I think for me, shorter term, this would be a little move to the upside and gather some kind of intel. The only thing that worries me on this one is we've actually got a cross followed by a direct other cross on the stochastic there. So I don't like this one too much in terms of where it's at, but I would like to see maybe a little move up before continuing down. So staying within the channel ultimately, that's where I am in terms of ADA. Is there anything obvious on the regression? Let's make this a bit bigger. Yeah, so I think in terms of regression, we're obviously sloping up in terms of this move here. And therefore, I would like to see if we do drop, I think it's only going to be a drop to test again before moving on up. So I think one way or the other, it's just keeping an eye on this. We've also got the X trend coming from below, so yeah, it's going to be quite magnetized to this area anyway, until obviously we turn to some bullish sentiment, which I think a lot of these altcoins are only going to follow suit in terms of what Bitcoin does. So just kind of waiting on that one really. What else have we got? So we've got ETH. Let's go ETH. And Kraken. Right. So in terms of ETH, I'm just going to get rid of everything on this one. So I think starting out, we are still pretty much in the center of the curved regression. However, we are on the low side. So just like the previous coin, I think we've actually got a nice little slope here. We've obviously got the X trend mean sitting right in the center. So we are tagging this area right now. Let's see if there's anything obvious in terms of, let's get rid of these a second. If there's anything obvious in terms of the Wyckoff buy. No, there's nothing there. The only reason that I don't like this is the buys tend to be out of the green zones rather than the red. So let's see if there's anything on the sell side to that. No. So on the head side, we've basically got bearish but no sell signal. Obviously, the last sell signal was up high. So yeah, nothing for me in terms of Ethereum at the moment. I think we're still pretty much sideways. We will be covering a lot of the kind of key levels and logic behind this kind of in depth, I guess, beyond just the pure indicator play in our live stream later on this afternoon with our subscribers. Yeah, stochastic pretty much the same, kind of sloping down sideways in terms of quadratics, which is almost the complete opposite in terms of a definition of quadratics and a quadratic curve. That's kind of anything other than quadratics at the moment. I think it's it's pretty sideways. So nothing of interest there still. Let's have a look. Then we've got Chainlink. What else have we got? So I'm going to go for Tether on this one. Pretty much the same as Ethereum. We've got pretty boring sideways action in terms of quadratics. We might have, if I zoom in a little bit on this, we might actually have a cross. No. So the reason that there's so there's a cross this form. The red has actually gone underneath the green, something that looks like this being the red. And then ultimately what's happened is that we've got the red kind of sloping back up and the green has basically just done this. So I think for me, the fact that we've got red on top and green underneath means that we're still pretty much downwards in terms of the sentiment, so bearish sentiment as a whole. Although we do have some kind of descending channel, I think I'd like to expect maybe another move out before some kind of break. So that's where my opinion is at the moment in terms of Chainlink. XRP, okay, XRP, USD, XRP. So I think again, you can kind of see the theme in terms of the stream. We're kind of looking that we've got a move down. It's very bearish as we see it at the moment. However, we've got a nice cross on XRP. So I think with the descending channel, we could see a potential break, retest, and go. It's just a question of how big this will be. And I think because it's XRP, we can come up with a little bit more data. Yeah, so I think for me, in terms of XRP, looking at where we are on the weekly stochastic, I think we could easily see a nice little sideways move turn into a bit of a move back up. So yeah, I think that is probably pretty accurate in terms of where we are on this one. So back to the daily. Let's hide these a second and let's look at the XTL. So nothing screaming bullish. I'd like to see at least a white candle before taking that long, and therefore yeah, pretty much sideways until we're not. In terms of the regression, we sat quite pretty really on the low at the moment of the X trend. we currently in the middle of the curved regression channel, which ultimately is at a relatively low point on the larger frame regression. So yeah, I think for me this is pretty obvious. I think we're going to get a move maybe to the top of the X trend, which obviously is this little grade line. Potentially there, obviously back to retest the underside of that line before breaking up. I'd like to say to the mean, but I think obviously that's only going to depend on what we see over the weekend going into early next week. We then have on this one, we have Doge. So let's go and see what the little doggy's doing. Doge dollar. Let me go bit for next. Okay, so again, pretty much in the center of a curved regression. We've got red candles in terms of the XTL, so nothing interesting, nothing interesting. Any kind of buy, a little bit of bullish pressure forming there on the Wyckoff indicator, but nothing to write home about. So therefore, yeah, I think just as I've got drawn here, we've just started to see a little cross, and therefore we could get a nice little move up on the stochastic, but I get the feeling it's only going to be to the top of the channel rather than anything really exciting overall. AVAX, this is one that I mentioned in the other stream that didn't actually save. I don't really know anything about this as a whole, so bear with me on this one. Again, sideways quadratic action. Let me see if there's a cross. No, the cross is actually gone. The cross looked like it was about to happen, and then ultimately kind of folded itself back over. So I think again, pretty much the same thing in terms of that sideways on the XTL. Let's get out to this sideways on the XTL, sitting at the low. However, this channel is actually bearish as a whole. So I think if we do get a break on this one, we could actually see a move back towards the X trend as a whole. There's obviously the mean of the X trend there as well. So I think we might see a nice little push to this one before another drop down rather than the other way around. And I think let's see what the so I think for me again, we're looking at the stochastic. Obviously, we might get a little move there, but because the cross has folded over itself, I think we're more likely to get some sideways action, which will be continuation of the sideways action before any decent move on up. So yeah, I think the theme for the whole stream at the moment is kind of sideways with a hint of bearish sentiment overall. TRX, so TRX USD, TRX USD. Obviously, I've just covered all of these in the stream that didn't save. So what I'm seeing on this one is the reason I've got the two drawings here is my logic would be I'd like to see a little bounce, maybe a little break of this channel, which obviously is there today if I were to draw it properly, a little break and then obviously a shoot up. Whereas I think the assumption looking at the characteristics of a trend, if you're not seeing the indicators the same as what we kind of highlighted in the stream, it could quite obviously look like a drop, a retest, and obviously a dip down. Whereas I think we're going to get a bit of a fake out down before a nice move up, and that's echoed with basically the current situation on the stochastic. A nice crossover on quadratics would give me a little bit of extra comfort there. X trend pretty much sideways, so we've got a nice little squeeze move sitting in there, which makes me think fake out and up rather than fake out and down, because this is obviously bearish sentiment, and therefore a nice little move back up would make some sense. Maybe testing of the neckline at this kind of region, around this area, maybe a little bit lower. So ultimately, that would be my kind of intraday logic on this particular pair. Then we got Sushi, which I actually thought this was a joke when they asked me for this one. I said I actually like mine with a bit of wasabi. Okay, so again, pretty much the same as everything else all the way through this stream. Sideways range. We've got stochastic going into oversold, so we'd like to see obviously a move on up. I think we've still got a bit of additional pressure on the quadratic curve. So I don't think we're as near to the zero line as we are on some of the others. So I think for me, it's going to be maybe another little push down. We might have a test or a dip, which possibly might not create a double bottom, but I think we're going to see a little move down before a move up, unless we obviously see it just moving, in a very small, tight range on the smaller time frames. So they are the coins for me that I've obviously been asked to cover in this stream. Apologies again for the issues with TradingView and their new servers and the way that we can obviously connect and not connect to them. We've tried everything at the moment. We've tried directly broadcasting through TradingView as the software. We've tried Firefox and Chrome and Internet Explorer. I've even gone so far as to purchase satellite internet for the house to see if we can get better internet connections. I've just gone and bought another Netgear Nighthawk portable router with a 4G connection in that one. So yeah, we are trying kind of on our end to get that. Obviously, the streams have been quite well accepted by our community and obviously TradingView. So obviously we're enjoying kind of what's going on. We're enjoying the commentary, and therefore, we are trying every which way to get this sorted. So again, what I'll be doing is I'll upload this now into YouTube, and I'll share the link back to the previous stream. Unless I can obviously upload directly into to OBS back into TradingView. So I'll try both ways. I got a couple of hours spare, so I'll be trying that now in the next hour or so. So yeah, hopefully have a great day and obviously a good weekend, and we'll see you again next week.